Hey, Tony Goldwyn, how's it going?
Hi Bernard, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. Very long day, but I'm good. I'm good. Good to see
Yeah, bad.
you. Good to see you. So let's get this started. Richard Williams is a very determined man to get his daughters into the world of tennis. Um, was there anything in your life where you were just as determined as Richard Williams to get done? Like, was there any way you followed just saying like a roadmap for yourself that you put in place and you didn't let anyone or anything change that roadmap?
Well, look, let me just start by saying that I don't hold any determination that I have had in my life doesn't hold a candle to the kind of determination that Richard Williams had in his. I mean, what he did was just extraordinary. That said, yeah, I mean, I wanted to do something that seemed impossible in being an actor and an artist, you know what I mean? And it literally seemed impossible. And, along the way, starting like with, a high school teacher who told me I should keep going with this passion that I had to, at points along the way when I thought it was going to be impossible, there was that one person I looked up to who said, keep going. And I got the best advice I've ever gotten as a young person, facing what did seem to me to be a completely impossible goal, and I had no idea how I would ever achieve it. It was my brother-in-law, and he said he was older, and he said he happened to be a jazz musician, and he said, I told myself when I was your age that I had no idea if I could do what I wanted to do, but if I committed 100% to my dream and never let up and just committed, I'd either achieve that or it would lead me to some place that I don't even know about. But I would never be the person who said, "Oh man, if I'd only tried, maybe I could have done it." He said, "You don't want to be that guy," and that inspired me and stuck with me in the darkest of times. And I was like, "Well, I don't know if I can do this, but I made a commitment, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put 100% in until I see the light." And I felt like that's, a tiniest sliver of the ingredients that the Williams family had, because they just did not say they would no just wasn't impossible was not in their vernacular. It was like um, it, you why I heard Venus say, why waste energy on doubt? You just have to believe in yourself and believe. And I think that because of her dad's determination, but her mom's determination and the love of that family, and the way that this became like a spiritual family project to put Venus and Serena over the top and to achieve this vision that their dad had about them. So yeah, I've felt something like that, but this story is really um, it's incredible. What people are going to see that I think a lot of people just don't know.
Agreed. I agree. Now, you did exceptional job as Paul Cohen in the film, and
Oh,
everyone
thanks.
was on point in the film. But of course, Will Smith's performance as Richard is garnering a lot of buzz. And
Mhm.
so I just want to know what was it like, you know, seeing him transform into Richard Williams and having scenes when what was that like for you?
Oh man, it was amazing. Like, I mean, I think everybody knows, Will Smith's the sort of exuberance and passion and joy and playfulness that everybody who is a fan of his adores about him. That's who he is, right? So he brings that into every work environment. But what he did with Richard when we'd be working is he'd be like bringing all of this energy to the set as sort of our leader, right?
Mhm.
And creates a work environment. But then he'd kind of slide into playing Richard when we'd start rehearsing, or certainly when we were shooting, and it had all that life force that is Will Smith, and yet the what he does, the transformation to become Richard Williams with that, um, it's a completely different quality that would come into him, and he just slid into it seamlessly. It was kind of magical to watch and really fun and exciting to play with. To be with him in that. It's like not to have a bad kind of comparison, but it really was like being with a world class athlete who they start hitting that ball, and you're like, wow, okay, This is how we're
Amazing.
playing.
Amazing. Amazing. He did an amazing job. It was brilliant to
Yeah.
watch. There were many moments in the films that I'm not gonna lie, I had tears coming out of my eyes, and I was
Hmm.
like, wow. And it's kind of funny that that's like the second movie to only do that to me. And the first one was a Will Smith film, which is kind of it was a Pursuit of Happiness. So,
Pursuit of Happiness. Yeah,
um,
right. I love that movie.
so what was your favorite moment if you've seen the movie, it finished the complete movie? What was your favorite moment from this
Yeah,
movie?
my favorite moment of the movie, there's so many, because as you said, I felt the same way of crying. And I went to a screening, a screening for me and my daughter, who's in her
Oh,
20s,
great.
and she was crying from the beginning to the end. Like she knew nothing about the story. But for me, the most powerful scene, there's an incredible scene between Will and Ingenue Ellis, who plays their mom, Oracene. Um, and she really was the glue and
Yeah.
as much as he might have been the visionary, she was the one that really held that family together and kept everything, the trains on the tracks in a way. And there's a scene where she calls him out and holds him to account and says, "You did not do this alone." And it's a scene between a husband and a wife that both is filled with love, but it also just felt so emotionally honest, and it's what made the movie. It's to me, I was like, oh, this isn't just an aspirational, inspirational story. This is an honest portrayal of the highs and lows and the dark and the light, and it just had real grit, which I think is what this movie has. It doesn't sugarcoat what it takes to be a family, that hangs together. Uh, so anyway, it was just that scene to me just blew my mind. And both you mentioned how great Will's performance is. Ingenue Ellis is so brilliant in this movie too,
Yes. Yes, she
uh,
was. I
and
can't wait to talk to
I
her.
was so moved by their stuff together.
Yeah, she was brilliant. I loved her role in that movie. I loved
Hmm.
that. And finally, I have final question for you. Uh, if you could have, what other sports family or prominent sports figure would you like to see their story adapted into a film? And if you can be in one, what would it be?
Wow, you know, a friend of mine mentioned doing a story about the early 20th century football player, Jim Thorpe, who was a Native American and experienced, he was a master of so many sports and had a very, very difficult life and dealt with so many different kinds of discrimination and overcame so many obstacles and had sort of a tragic story ultimately, but was really perceived, I think, in the early part of the 20th century as the greatest athlete who ever lived. And people don't know who Jim Thorpe was really. And I think that would be an incredible story to tell.
That's a great answer. That's my time. Tony, it was an honor talking to you. You did great in the film, and I can't wait for everyone to see this film because it's absolutely amazing.
Oh, thanks, man. Me too. Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. All right. Take care, man.